Hi everyone, and welcome to Tackle the Feelings Before the Behaviour. My name's Paula, and I am a therapist working with parenting out in the community in Australia in Melbourne. And I often put these videos together when there's patterns that I see in my job, or working with people, or helping out my mates who've got kids, or just what I see in the street and what seems to be the trend at the moment. And what I have seen and for quite some time, and what I've been wanting to put a video out about, is what parents and professionals are labeling sensitive children. So sensitive children is not so much a defined term in terms of the literature and the theories, although if you do type in sensitive children into Google, you will see there is a bit of a psychological talk about this, the same way they do with highly sensitive people, HSPs. Some people will term that high empathy. Some people will just call that sensitive people and not really understand too much about it. But they're putting kids in that category as well, highly sensitive children. And so this is a very big blanket term, as it often is with anything mental health, with anything to do with people, because we're so unique and so individual. You can't put a blanket term and say everybody ticks every single symptom and fits into a nice neat box. That doesn't happen. So what I can say is that we are seeing children who are quite different to what we would have seen in our parents' day, in our day when we were children. Children have a different world that they're living in at the moment. This is what I think anyway. I think that the way the world is impacts all of us in a lot of ways. Technology, for instance, we now have so much connection with one another. We have social media. We have the doctors all on Google telling us that we are going to die in a week, and that must be a brain tumor, that headache we're feeling, and all that stuff. And in parenting, it's really, really hard to get information without feeling freaked out and anxious when looking for it. And that's part and parcel why I'm putting this information out from a real person who, it's my job to keep up to date with things, and it's my job to test these things out and deliver them to you in a way when I know that they work, or to say to you, give this a try because, and give you the reasons why you should give something a try. And I think that's very valuable and something that we're missing a bit. So when it comes to sensitive children, this could be anything from what I normally see, and what seems to be the most common element to sensitive children is a high level of empathy, a big sensitivity to surroundings. So you'll see this when children go to kindy or play school or childcare or something like that, and they become extremely overwhelmed. You have almost school refusal, refusing to want to go to school, childcare, whatever, really early on, which is unusual. Because normally they like going and playing, and there's new toys and there's friends. But for some children, this is very difficult. And change, for sensitive children, change can be extremely distressing. So that's something to bear in mind. It might not be the thing that you're getting them to do. It might be that it's different, that it's not familiar, that it's unknown to the child. And so you will have reactions. And often when the child is distressed in this emotional way, you will see tantrums, you will see behaviors that seem very naughty, acting out, defiance, clinginess, not wanting to be away from you. Separation anxiety can be huge, forming a dependence on the things that they feel familiar with, which is you, which are their things, their belongings, their home, their bed, their friends, their pet, whatever it is. You will see that clinginess, that not wanting to share, that which can be very normal. But if you're seeing this and it's at the back of a change, or your child just seems to consistently struggle, that's when you need to just look at what's going on. Is your child being quite sensitive to their surroundings regularly? Another way sensitivity is shown is in intolerances, food intolerances, intolerances and allergies, not being able to tolerate certain things, different food groups, dairy, not liking certain textures of food or textures of things. all the different senses, so noises, smells. Your child might actually be having quite a severe reaction to those types of things. And when it comes to textures and eating and all of that, I talk about fussy eating in one of my earlier blogs on disgust. When you've got textures, often this is so normal and the child will grow out of it. But what I'm seeing is the distress that comes from having these intolerances, having these sensitivities, being really affected by other people's emotions, by emotions in the home, by change, by loss. And one of the big things which I wanted to mention today is anxiety. So when you get a sensitive child, and I would say I was a sensitive child, looking back, doing my inner child work and doing my journey, I would definitely say that. And I would consider myself a highly sensitive person, or a person with a high level of empathy. I am incredibly sensitive to the emotions of other people. I'm incredibly sensitive to the mood, of the atmosphere, of small minor changes people make. Makes me a great therapist, but it can be very, very stressful to live in the world when you are so tuned in to the feelings and emotions of other people. And if you don't know how to manage that in yourself, and that's for adults and children, you will feel a level of anxiety. You will feel very bogged down, very exhausted from all of this, because you're taking on board more than you can handle because you're not in control. And that's the main catchphrase here. You're not in control and you're not emotionally safe. If you are not in control of your emotions and the emotions of others, and you don't have a healthy relationship with sadness, with fear, with anger, these emotions can be very overwhelming. If you are sensitive to other people's emotions, it can feel like you don't get a break. And for a child who's running solely from an emotional system, not from the thinking cortex part of their brain that's not developed yet, they are coming from the limbic system, the emotional system, also from the physical system where they are driving on instincts. So when they are feeling really sensitive, when they have a bad experience with a food group or get constipation from something, then they might develop fears of going to the toilet. They might develop fears of going to a place. Like school, if something's happened at school, they might associate that whole experience of school or childcare with that awful feeling, that fear, that humiliation, whatever it is that they're feeling. They create these associations because they don't know how to rationalize that in their own heads. They can't make those associations in healthy, adaptive ways because they don't have the brain development or the capacity to do that. So that's where we come in. And that is why in this growing world where children can download apps on the iPad at age 2, most of the time it's frightening what they can and can't do at the moment. There's an increase in anxiety. You will hear that talking to early years staff in various professions. We are seeing it. We're seeing separation anxiety like never before. We're seeing anxious parents like never before. I'm starting to look into postnatal depression is not just the thing going on at the moment for new mums, but we've got postnatal anxiety that's starting to take traction, that's being more and more recognized, that there are some very real parenting challenges that most people are facing. And instead of clubbing together and finding out how we can work on this, bringing emotions in, talking about how we feel, how our children feel, really comparing notes in a positive, constructive way, what works, what doesn't, we are still in that blame and judgment and being critical with one another. Parents and mothers groups, oh my goodness, I'm sure most of you have had experiences where you just don't want to share your weaknesses, your challenges in these environments because you get judged. People feel better about themselves by looking at other people's flaws, what they're doing wrong, the challenges they're having, because everybody and parenting is winning it, because every child is unique, every situation is unique, and there are no manuals. So the one thing I can give you that is going to work for every child of every culture is this language with emotions, emotional regulation. not looking so much at the context of a situation, but learning how to help a child with those big emotions by trusting your gut, because a lot of professionals are still giving the advice of leave them when they're distressed. Don't give that attention. Dismiss them. I've had some mum tell me that they were told to leave their child for half an hour at least. And that really made me very sad, because the research will show you now that you don't leave your children in distress. That is a frightening time for them. They're in distress not to bug you, not because they want to be in distress to get your attention because they're evil and don't want you to have a life. They're not actually able to think like that at all. At all. What they're doing is trying to get emotional needs met. If you have a new baby in the home, often the child will see that what the baby's doing gets your attention. So they start doing similar behaviors. They start regressing. They start crying when the baby cries. They start trying to get involved. They start getting angry with the baby. They start being rough, or they start wanting something from you at that particular time that you are needed by the baby, and you wonder, why are they being such terrors? Will this ever end? And it's so hard, and I'm not taking away how hard it is, but if you are able to see what's going on for the child, that your child's insecure, that there's change in the home, that you need to do some reassurance, that you need to attend to those feelings, that you need to be present, help your child feel safe and connected to you again. What can you do to help your child feel emotionally safe and in control? How can you show them what to expect so they know what's coming? Do you need to show them on a clock what time something's happened? Are you and your partner or somebody else who's parenting the child on the same page? Is your child getting similar messages between parents? That's really, really important. How consistent are things in the home? Is anything else going on for your child? Do you need to get a pediatrician involved with those intolerances so that you can help your child rather than try and force them to do something that is genuinely upsetting them? If they are impacted by other people's emotions, do you need to explain those emotions to your child as they're happening? That their friend is sad because they're going through something right now. But when they finish being sad, they'll bounce back. They'll come back to being happy. But they're just feeling sad right now. You don't need to do anything about that. You can go and give them a hug if they would like a hug. But we just let people be sad when they need to be sad. We let people be scared when they need to be scared. Do you need to have that conversation with your child? How can you support them through their overwhelm, through these sensitivities? Because the plus side to sensitivities means that your children are gifted. They see the world in a different way. They are observant. They're picking up things. They are clever. So many times I see intelligence like never before, even with kids who have autism and anything on the autism spectrum disorder scale. Developmental delays, which are all the things that seem to come up in what we like to criticize each other with. The word autism is flown around like the biggest hot craze phrase at the moment, and I spend a lot of time reassuring parents that there are no symptoms of autism. The behaviors are normal. So we need to stop pathologizing children and start getting onto that emotional way of communicating, because when your children are way advanced and on the computer and you don't know what they're doing, and they have a completely different world, their friendships, the way they see the world is so different because the world is so different and continuously changing. How are you going to communicate with your kids? And the answer, I believe, lies within that emotional system. If you can connect your children on that real, genuine emotional system, if you can help them regulate those emotions, manage those big emotions, I believe we can stay connected no matter what comes our way. And we do need to do this for these children. We need to tackle anxiety head on. We need to make changes in parenting. So that is what Tackle the Feelings is all about. I hope that's been helpful. Ask questions in the comments if you need to. Subscribe to my channel, like my Facebook page, and keep an eye out. Websites being developed. and it would be lovely to have more support from you if you found me helpful. So have a great day. Bye.